Hello, everybody, and welcome to the scruffy-looking Nerd Herders podcast. I'm your host, Tyler, bringing all things nerd and geek-related. And this episode is a very special BlizzCon episode. Now, I was originally going to do a bonus reaction episode on this last Sunday, but instead I wanted all the information from BlizzCon to really sink in for me. So, at BlizzCon initially, at the opening ceremony, each game is going through and getting their turn, announcing their new features, new characters, new expansions, what have you. Then a member of the Classics division at Blizzard comes up on stage, and I, along with, I'm sure, almost every person there, we were initially excited and expected a possible Diablo or Diablo 2 remaster, as nothing had been mentioned about Diablo yet, and then the first panel after the opening ceremony was Diablo. So people were expecting that this was going to be the segue into the panel for Diablo. But then they announced instead a Warcraft 3 remaster, which that's still awesome. Like, I loved Warcraft 2, and I would love to play a Warcraft 3 remaster. Like, they completely redid the opening cinematic for Warcraft 3 with HD characters. It was phenomenal. It was fantastic. But a lot of people kind of felt like it was a bait and switch. Like, hey, you're expecting Diablo, but not really Diablo 4, but here's the Classics division. So people were expecting, because Diablo, Diablo 2, and now Diablo 3 are all part of the Classics division. So people were expecting a Diablo something for the remaster. But I'm going to cover the good of BlizzCon 2018 first and save my not so good for after this. So starting off with Overwatch, as that's my second favorite Blizzard property right now. So Blizzard added a new hero named Ashe, along with a new cinematic titled Reunion that her and the fan favorite McCree, he was also in it as well. There was a lot of really cool characters that were showcased in that cinematic. I highly recommend going and watching it because it was a really well done cinematic, probably one of my favorites that they've done. But Ashe is currently on PTR and is already becoming a new favorite amongst the fans. Almost everyone I've talked to that's played her said that she's one of their new favorite DPS characters. She uses a lever action rifle, and she has a secondary as a sawed-off shotgun and a bundle of dynamite, which several people have said that the dynamite's pretty OP right now, but I mean, that's why she's on PTR. Get all the issues worked out. But her ultimate is an Omnic called Bob, who was also in the cinematic trailer, and he goes ham. Like, he's a big old beefy boy that also has wrist rifles, and he stopped, like, in her reveal trailer, it showed him like going toe to toe with an ulted Winston. So I think he's going to be kind of like a counter for an ulted Winston, which, cool. Moving on, Blizzard showcased a vanilla WoW, which I'm not typically into WoW. I tried it a couple expansions ago. I think it was right before Cataclysm. I wasn't a huge fan, but what they showed, it looks like it was really fun. Like, I could probably get on board and play vanilla WoW, but this is something that's been discussed in the past, and fans of WoW really seem ecstatic about it. Like I said, they did a Warcraft 3, which is a complete HD remaster, and it looks super sharp. Hearthstone will be getting a full single-player expansion. Some parts will be free, but others you will have to pre-order, and it adds 135 new cards to the game. There's one bundle. If you pre-order, you get 50 expansion card packs. You get the Ready to Rumble card back, which, if you're not familiar with Hearthstone, it's essentially like different backs to the deck of card. Kind of like sleeves, basically, if you're familiar with like Magic the Gathering and stuff. And a new shaman hero, King Rastakhan. second bundle that you can pre-order includes 17 card packs and just the card back. So just those two things. I think this, and it's funny too, is because it's like Rastican's Rumble or something like that, I think is what the expansion's called. And it's kind of like Blizzard poking fun at the Battle Royale game mode, and it looks like a lot of fun. Like I'm currently playing or getting back into Magic the Gathering app on my phone, and this new expansion, it looks like it might get me to re-download Hearthstone again, and which I haven't done. Like, I think the last expansion I played was Kobolds and Catacombs, which was kind of like a take on Dungeons and Dragons, and that was super fun, and I had a lot of fun with it. It was great. I love that expansion, so I may check this one out as well. Lastly, Heroes of the Storm gets a new theme titled Heir of the Raven Court, and it looks like a blast. I wasn't a huge fan of Heroes of the Storm, mainly because I'm not a big MOBA player, but I like Heroes of the Storm better than any other MOBA, so I might give this a play. But Blizzard's reworking some of the characters, such as Sylvanas, and they're adding new character classes. There was a new character shown, so they're really working on tightening up this game, and I'm really looking forward to checking that game out as well. Now the bad. As I stated earlier, historically the first panel at the end of the opening ceremony is for the large announcements. Now we got clarification a couple weeks before BlizzCon that Diablo 4 wouldn't be showcased at BlizzCon, which was a great form of communication from the development team to the community. So I wasn't expecting Diablo 4 at all. I wasn't expecting it at all. But people were still expecting something from Diablo, because they said that there was multiple teams working on multiple projects. So people were like, okay, well, it's probably going to be a Diablo 2 remaster, or possibly a Diablo 3 expansion, or maybe something in between. There's even people saying that, there's probably going to be some kind of mobile game similar to Fallout Shelter. So Wyatt Cheng came on stage and he introduces the community to Diablo Immortal, a MMO ARPG for mobile gaming. The reaction from the crowd was very unsettling silence, and you could tell that Wyatt was extremely uneasy about it. Like, it was awkward, and he continued through and he showed off the cinematic, which looked really great. Like, it was a great Diablo cinematic. And then they continue to talk about the features of Diablo Immortal, and people are just not sold on the game. Then the opening ceremony finishes and the Diablo news is over. They didn't talk about Diablo 3, what they were going to do with seasons. They didn't talk about the Book of Adria, which just came out. It was even being shown in the top floor of BlizzCon. Like, they were showing it off, but they didn't even talk about it. No Netflix series, nothing. Just Diablo Immortal. So, right after the opening ceremony and the panel, Wyatt opens the floor for Q&A, which just wasn't a good idea based on the reaction of the crowd. One of the first questions was, quote, "Is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke?" It was pretty bad, which that question is a direct reference to an actual April Fool's joke the Diablo devs posted a couple years ago of a Diablo mobile game. So literally just a few years ago, Blizzard saw a Diablo mobile game as a joke, but now it's a reality. And Wyatt really just felt like he was excited about Diablo Immortal, and he seemed like he just didn't understand what the backlash was for, because another question was if there were any plans to bring Immortal to the PC, and the answer was just a straight up no. And the immediate reaction was the crowd booing him. And his response was, "Do you guys not have phones?" Which was taking in a condescending way of, "I can't believe you peasants don't have phones." But I personally just feel like he just didn't understand, because, like I said, he looked legitimately excited. It didn't look like he was pushed up there to, like he drew the short straw or something. Like, it looked like he was like, no, I want to showcase this. I want to talk about this because this is my baby. I want to talk about it. And so, like, I just feel like he just didn't understand. The internet reaction was full on savage mode. No one was happy and just feeling just awful about Diablo. Like I said, I expected a mobile game as some sort of possibility, but I expected something more along the lines of a small game like Fallout Shelter, like I said, to hold fans over until a full Diablo release. I didn't personally expect a full-fledged MMORPG for mobile. And because, like, that's insane. This is like kind of like their like where they're planting the flag of this is, kind of the direction we want to take. And the reveal trailer on YouTube got a crap ton of downvotes and dislikes, and they were removing the video. Well, it was rumored they were removing the video and uploading it, and then removing it and re-uploading it. And people were saying they were removing comments, etc. But then there were other people saying that this is just a built-in algorithm with YouTube now. So I'm not 100% sure because I don't really do stuff with YouTube. I'm not up on YouTube's algorithms because apparently they change all the time. And so I'm just not sure what the case is or which case is worse. So just to preface, don't get me wrong, because I thought Diablo Immortal looked fantastic. I have, like I said, my experience with mobile gaming is just like Hearthstone, and like I said, now I'm playing Magic the Gathering on the phone. I don't have a whole lot of experience with mobile gaming, especially MMORPGs. But like I said, I thought from what I've seen, it played really well. But you'd essentially have to have a complete top-of-the-line gaming phone to be able to play it smoothly. So you basically have to drop $800 to $1,000 for a phone as an investment to be able to play it to its full potential. And that's baffling. Like, there's people who spend that much on a gaming PC and like a full streaming station, to be able to stream on Twitch and YouTube and Mixer. Like, why would people drop that much money for just a phone? And not to mention, like, they didn't have an answer for, what happens if you're in the middle of a raid and you get a phone call. What happens? Because this is a live MMO. You can't just, with Diablo, you can on the PC or even like I've seen on the Switch, you can pause it, take it with you, and then unpause it, and then you can keep playing. But with this, it's a full-fledged MMO. You can't do that. And like I said, I understand as a business why they're deciding to go forward with a mobile game. It generates easy money off the property and expands the player base, which turns into sales of the core games. Just like I said, what happened with Fallout Shelter and Fallout 4. But this showed that, based on the reveal, that they just didn't get what the community wanted. For the hardcore fans, they don't fit into the demographic as mobile gamers. But Immortal doesn't look like a casual game like you would see with Candy Crush. Candy Crush is like a casual mobile game. It doesn't seem like a game you can just pick up for 5 to 10 minutes and then put it back down again. I get it's a business decision because the numbers are there to support that mobile gaming is a possible future for gaming. I reported a couple episodes ago, Fortnite made millions within 2 weeks of being on iOS. And they made millions within the first week of being on Android. PUBG is on mobile now. Like, it's not uncommon for games now, like, to move towards that market, to expand their demographics, to expand their, to cast that wide net of generating income. I just think that there's the pushback from the older gamers that want to keep their platform, whether it's PC or console, as the focus. But then there's the younger gamers that want to be more mobile. That's why the Switch is as popular as it is, honestly, because Nintendo knew that's what younger gamers were familiar with, like tablets, phones, etc. And they ran with it. And it is a success. So mobile gaming is definitely a part of the future of gaming as a whole, whether us older gamers want to admit it or not. One of my personal problems that I have with Immortal
is that there is some legitimately awesome stuff in the game that feels like